isn't it funny? Everything is cyclical. I think back to when I was 13, 14 and going to the mall, and now I'm dropping my daughter off at the mall. And I remember a few years ago thinking, is that ever going to happen again? And it is. It's happening in a big way.
Welcome to Leadership Next, the podcast about the changing rules of business leadership. I'm Michal Avram.
And I'm Diane Brady.
Listeners will be familiar with the Sephora brand, but they may not be familiar with you. So I want to start by actually asking you to tell us a little bit about you.
I was born in Iran. So I immigrated to the US in 1979 when I was 7 years old. And at that time, I didn't actually speak any English. It was very difficult for my family and I. And then my mom went back to Iran. And unfortunately, this was during the Iranian hostage crisis. So she got stuck there and my father wasn't able to take care of me. So I ended up moving into a group home and then grew up with foster parents since I was 10 years old. And so I really think that very much shaped who I am, not just as a person, but as a leader. And especially as you think about, the world of beauty and historically how, there was one definition of beauty, especially when I was growing up in the 80s. And I certainly did not fit that mold. So it has really, really guided how I think about beauty, how I think about belonging. And I think that that's always sort of been my North Star.
Obviously, Sephora is an incredibly strong brand. I have 12 and 14-year-old girls, so I live it. But I'm curious, how would you characterize this moment in time in which you've stepped into this role? What are the, there's been so much very fast evolution in the retail space and the e-commerce space with tech over the last few years and different, consumer trends that seem to be evolving so quickly. So how would you characterize where things are today for Sephora?
Yeah, I mean, I have a 13-year-old girl, so I feel you. I would say what's incredible about beauty is it's always had this tactile feeling of connection and belonging and being able to try new things. I think the inherent love of beauty among every generation across all ages has always been there. Obviously what has evolved is access and social media, and I do think this idea and understanding of specifically skincare. I know that I probably did not take the best care of my skin when I was younger, and I see my daughter packing up her Supergoop in her backpack, and that's exciting, but that's because of TikTok and other forms, and YouTube and other forms of social media, and the speed at which things come to light is just it's mind-boggling. And I have been at Sephora for 18 years, so I've seen different evolutions of this. Certainly, I remember when Instagram first launched, and I remember contouring. It was just like I was thinking to myself, how many contour kits do people need, right? And so we've seen it before. It's not new in that sense, but it is in terms of the speed and the democratization of it all, and just the access to all the information, especially around ingredients and a deep understanding of what people are putting on their skin, on their hair, on their body.
Sticking with the topic of kids shopping in Sephora, there has been some concern over what young girls are putting on their faces. Like, do they really need retinol? Do they really need some of the stronger products or anti-aging stuff like that? What's Sephora's response to that? And what do you see as your responsibility for educating younger shoppers?
Well, I believe we have a huge responsibility, as well as our hundreds of brands, to educate the consumer on what is right for their skin, regardless of their age. And where I think that we have a competitive advantage is our beauty advisors. We have 25,000 incredibly well-trained, unbiased, non-commissioned beauty advisors. So it's actually been a really easy pivot for us to focus those educational moments, of which we have many, specifically on skincare and skincare ingredients. So that is where we are seeing, a lot of the chatter and the noise, and making sure that they know, yes, you need, at a certain age, you need to wash your face, you need sunscreen, and you need some moisturizer, but no, you don't need retinol. And making sure that we share that information. at the end of the day, there's only so much, a salesperson can do. We can educate. And then beyond that, it really is the responsibility of the consumer. But I feel that we are very well poised to at least be able to share our knowledge on that and make sure that they understand what they're buying.
What kind of technology do you think has really moved the needle in the stores to
Mhm.
create a better shopping experience?
One of the core tenets of everything we always do from a tech perspective is that it has to enhance the consumer experience. So I'll give you an example of that is our proprietary skin scan, where we do almost 100,000 scans a week with a 70% conversion rate. So what happens is a consumer can come in and we have this proprietary tool, and it essentially looks at the skin and it will make a foundation match. At the same time, it also goes through a skin diagnostic and tells you whether your skin is oily or dry and makes product recommendations. So that is not something a
Mm.
consumer will do on their own. That is a conversation starter between our beauty advisor and the client. And that to us is what is really exciting about technology. So that's how we really think about it. How do you enhance the consumer experience?
Mhm.
How do you make it easier for our beauty advisors to have those conversations and create that really human connection? So it's digital for the sake of human, is the way I sort of think about it.